D23's Blue Sky Studio has been the creative birthplace of so many projects. But blue skies doesn't necessarily mean no turbulence. Let's take a closer look at how they bring projects to life, shall we?
Hello! Hi! Wow, there's so many of you. Wow, it's so nice to see you. I'm Thomas. I'm a creative director.
And I'm Jillian. I'm a creative producer.
And we both work in Blue Sky. We're going to talk to you all about what we do in the early stages of any of our ideas. Really, Blue Sky is not only a process at the very beginning of any project, but it's a group of people that are dedicated to that work. It's a very small but mighty group of creative directors, producers, coordinators, and we get to gather all the best creative minds throughout Imagineering and really the Walt Disney Company to come together and kind of ideate on one of the best possibilities of any guest experience. Every possible aspect of that, from food to roller coasters to all the things. And we really like to live in the what-if space in these early days and kind of explore an idea every possible which way. And today we're going to take you through that process and share some recent things that have come out of Blue Sky. And it's going to be super fun.
Well, in Blue Sky, we love a good analogy, so please bear with us today. I'm going to make a process presentation fun, and we are going to bring in the process of how an idea and a story becomes a seed and turns to a project, a thriving, blossoming project. So, a big thing that our studio, as we get to work in Blue Sky all day, is we champion the early creative efforts to start with as much data and information as possible. And we do this by partnering with a lot of different people across the company. Blue Sky doesn't just sit in our own little confines and come up with ideas in a void. So we work with our franchise partners, with our business partners. We talk to our parks constantly about what's going well, what's not going well, and the guest experience. And we are always looking at our creative leaders about what types of experiences they're seeing out in the world. And all of that, all these particles, bear with our analogy, they are a big part of this process that come together to our Blue Sky little cloud and form a...
They form a brainstorm, really, and then it starts to rain. I don't know if you follow our analogy, but when we talk about brainstorms, it's really the first place where we get to gather a whole bunch of Imagineers together. And we said, wouldn't it be fun if we do X, Y, Z? And then we start figuring out really what that kind of wants to take shape. And we bring people from every kind of discipline of over 150 some odd throughout Imagineering. If it's an estimator, a construction manager, a creative director, from story always, concept artists, it doesn't really matter because we like to champion good ideas can truly come from anywhere. So once we have hundreds and hundreds of sticky notes and sketches and little nuggets and seeds of ideas, well, hopefully
that seed becomes viable and begins to grow roots. And we get really excited about the potential. So we put together a team, we begin nurturing it, growing that idea into a concept. But as any good gardener knows, if we have other gardener friends out there, you need to learn how to tend to these plants early on to get them to sprout. Some seeds need more water, some seeds need more light, some seeds need more nutrients. So we are constantly exploring the world, and researching is the biggest part of our process. It is most important to play along the way. As you can see, Thomas takes this very seriously
about silly things. So how can we be expected to build things for our guests if we're not willing to do those things ourselves? So we like to play and climb around and end up in places, and sometimes in harnesses in another country where you don't speak their language. It's all about figuring out what kind of thing could inspire the next guest experience.
After we thoroughly research an area that we're working in, of course, then a seed may begin to sprout. We have the early ideas that are coming into a concept. But Thomas, we don't stop there, do we?
No, we never stop there. Especially these little baby plants need a lot of nourishment and a lot of tending to. So now we need to ideate and explore every possible aspect about that idea, every nook, every cranny, every type of thing. Does it have smell? Are we on a roller coaster? All those sorts of stuff, and we start to really explore them of kind of what are the ride systems, what emotion going, what shape, what color, what texture, what emotions are we trying to help the guests have? Is it for really, really little ones? Is it for the thrill seekers? And kind of where that story wants to go. So it's a really exciting phase, but ideas at this phase are really, they're tender. They're really kind of fragile. So you have to really think about them and sometimes toss some out, put in some new ones, and kind of keep going, just part of the creative process.
And last but not least, Thomas, we can't just ideate all day. We need to test it.
No, sticky notes will only get us so far. So now we get to actually test it and start prototyping stuff and starting to figure out whether there's a there before we can start taking it to our partners and kind of go from there. So a lot of the ways that we get to do that can be of various types of ways. Sometimes you can bolt a bunch of plywood together and put it on the back of a truck, and that becomes Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Magic Kingdom, and Shanghai Disneyland. Or what we get to use a lot of today, like VR headsets, or robot arms, or getting to work with our R&D and ride partners, and getting to figure out things on trackless ride vehicle platforms, which can really help us kind of do anything. We can choreograph those and start to figure out what the emotion and is it fun, right, at the core of all of this. So it's super fun to test all that stuff out because it starts to feel a little more real.
And with just the right amount of ingredients, a concept can begin to grow into something beautiful. But as any good gardener knows, for my gardener friends out there, please excuse all of my love of plants and my analogies, but trimming and shaping is a big part of the process, and with that only leads to more blooms into a fuller and bigger project. So always at Imagineering, we're looking at what are the most efficient ways to do things. How do we do things in a new way that maybe won't take as long or can bring things to the parks faster? And so that all becomes these constraints that we actually embrace in Blue Sky, and they become the building blocks for a project to flourish and create even more blooms. So then once we build and open what you get, we test and prototype and create the idea, we then toss the bouquet off to the project teams and they take it from there, and they're the ones that really build and establish what you get to experience in the parks all day.
It's always a little bittersweet in being in Blue Sky when we hand off a thing that we love so much, but the project teams always add stuff that we never even got to think about, and it's really quite amazing when you go and you send it away and then you come back and you're like, you added that? That's way better. It's really exciting.
All right, now enough with the plant metaphors. Thank you for sticking along through that process. But now we're going to show you some actual projects that our team in Blue Sky has been able to work on, champion, and get to the parks over the past year or so. So Thomas, want to talk about some of the first ones?
Oh man, yeah. Let's talk about a couple things here in Walt Disney World, where I live and spend most of my days, and then also in Walt Disney World Hollywood Studios and over at Disneyland and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. We did a couple new kind of updates to existing guest favorite attractions in really exciting ways. The first one being Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. Hopefully people have gone and seen it. It's the first ever one of those kind of Buzz Lightyear rides that we did at Magic Kingdom. We got to update the entire targeting system to that attraction, and it became a huge hit. And it's a thing that all families could go and ride, and who knew that having untethered blasters was going to be so different for us in Walt Disney World, but we've seen a tremendous guest lift, and we got to introduce a new character known as Buddy, who's kind of your testing robot in the beginning scenes, and I really love it. It turned out amazing, and that team did such great work. Another one of Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. I think more Grogu is always a good thing. Hopefully people saw Grogu. He's back there. He's looking for snacks. He's very cute. But we love all of that stuff. And then we talk about re-themes. Jillian and I both got to work on a couple of them. This one is very near and dear to my heart, which is Rock and Roller Coaster. We got to add the colorful and humor of the Muppets, and that was a really, really fun project of, kind of giving this evergreen rock band their due, and they got to move in down the street at G-Force Records, and it's honestly really funny, and I'm super proud of that team.
Another recent re-theme we helped shepherd through Blue Sky. We don't just work on attractions. Recently in Hong Kong, Wayfinder's Table opened. So it's a Moana-inspired restaurant. So we were looking at how can we bring new stories and convert this space into something that is very vibrant and magical, bringing new IP to that part of the park that didn't have it. And of expansions, what are the new ride systems we're going to be developing, what are the new attractions, new lands, and all of that. But we also look at every scale. So of course, some of the new builds that are going to be coming soon, like not just attractions, we help with the ideation for all parts of the resort. So there's going to be a new East Esplanade entry experience for the Disneyland Resort and a parking structure to really change that whole experience. So that's something that we've been able to help with that project team championing that forward. And then of course new builds like the wonderful Coco attraction coming to Disney California Adventure, which you all have seen over here to our right. So that is, in a nutshell, kind of the scope and scale of types of things that Blue Sky works on. We're not just working on what you would classically think of as the big Blue Sky ideas. We work in every different facet. And
All sizes, we love all of it. I think the ones when we do re-themes are just, they're so fun because they come with such different bumpers, and I love running at them, but I think the spirit of all of them is always the same. What's gonna make kind of the biggest impact for our guests? And sometimes there's gonna be small things like a Space Ranger spin to really giant things. So I think every part of them, our Blue Sky team gets to be at the early days and get to bring in so many people, and I love the collaboration of it.
So Blue Sky exists to keep evolving and imagining new things, constantly seeding new things into our parks with new magic.
And in Blue Sky, we continue to ideate and celebrate that a good idea can truly come from anywhere and from anyone. Walt said it best of, Disneyland will never be completed. It will continue to grow as long as there's imagination left in the world, and we try to take that spirit every day with what we get to do in our studio. So thanks for letting us talk